Today, Virginia voters hit the polls and made decisions that could shape some of the biggest political battles this fall. As those results roll in from this late primary, the races didn't exactly capture the public's attention.
Yeah, voter turnout is low, as was expected. Prince William County reporting just 2% of voters showing up at the polls. And for many voters, the election was barely on their radar.
But the implications of this election reach far beyond tonight, because the winners of these races will move one step closer to Capitol Hill and could help shape Virginia and the national landscape for years to come.
Yeah, one of the biggest races will be the race for Virginia senator, where Democratic incumbent Mark Warner will face off against Republican challenger Bert Mizusawa. We have team coverage for you tonight of the other big races, not only in our region, but across the Commonwealth. Let's begin with Northern Virginia Bureau reporter Drew Wilder, who's tracking the latest in Virginia's District 8 race tonight. Drew?
Yeah, Jim, Don Beyer was the only Nova incumbent challenged in a primary tonight, and he won it in a landslide. Beyer told me this afternoon that he respected all of the other candidates and appreciated them running against him, but his confidence in this primary was strong, and now Beyer will face Tony Sabio in November's general election. Today's story in Nova was really about the low turnout across the board, as you guys mentioned. Sure, it was a primary, and primaries are often low turnout, but also because our primary was pushed back from its typical June date to now August. That was as a result of the redistricting effort that was approved and ultimately overturned by the state Supreme Court. Regardless, Don Beyer told me today that he believes Democrats are going to have a huge November in Virginia.
You know, Donald Trump is not popular in Virginia right now. The fact that 2 out of 3 Americans can't afford to buy groceries or pay their electricity bill, this is potentially a wave election.
Look, you'd be hard-pressed to find anybody who believes that an upset is probable in Beyer's district. Same thing in Fairfax and Loudoun Counties districts 10 and 11. But there are 2, maybe 3 districts that Democrats are hopeful they'll be able to flip from red to blue this November, starting with Virginia District 1. Incumbent Rob Whitman will be challenged by former Henrico County prosecutor Shannon Taylor. District 1 stretches throughout the Richmond suburbs, portions of Henrico County and Chesterfield County. And look, I think Chesterfield County is one of the strongest bellwethers in the Commonwealth. This is a county that voted for Glenn Youngkin in 21, then Kamala Harris in 24, and then Abigail Spanberger in 25. Then we move out to the Hampton Roads area. This is District 2, portions of Virginia Beach, and other cities nearby. This race will be a rematch between the incumbent Republican Jen Kiggins and Democrat Elaine Luria, who lost the seat to Kiggins in 2022. Then we move out to District 5. This is probably a long shot for Democrats, but it's not entirely out of reach. This is currently represented by Republican John McGuire, but Tom Perriello is a well-known candidate who ran a decent primary against Ralph Northam in 2017, and Perriello has repped this district in the past.
Right.
All right, Drew, you also mentioned some other races tonight. In Virginia's 10th district race, Republican Dave Beckwith will take on Democratic incumbent Congressman Suhas Subramanian. And then in Virginia's 11th congressional district, incumbent Democratic Congressman James Walkinshaw will take on Republican Arthur Purz. Both of those men ran unopposed. The question is, you talked about low voter turnout.
Right.
What could the low voter turnout in these other races outside of Northern Virginia tell us about the Democrats' chances to flip some of these seats come November?
Yeah, so we look at that low voter turnout, right? Specifically in Northern Virginia, it was weak. I didn't see a lot of people there in Alexandria today. But look, I don't think there's a lot to take away from that, because Northern Virginia is such a strong Democratic stronghold. And again, these weren't incredibly tight races to begin with. I think what we can take away from the voter turnout down in Virginia Beach, down in the Richmond suburbs, it was stronger. It wasn't a general election, but it was certainly stronger than what we saw here in Northern Virginia, because you want to look for, is there enthusiasm behind the candidates who were in their primaries tonight, because that enthusiasm can carry from a primary into a general election. And of course, if we've got a primary that's much later than we're used to having, we've got a much shorter ramp to get to the general election. So you had some enthusiasm behind Elaine Luria, behind Shannon Taylor in districts 1 and 2. So it seems like the enthusiasm is there, the type of enthusiasm that the Democratic Party has been hoping for, and the type of enthusiasm that they will need if they are going to be lucky enough to unseat the incumbents in those currently Republican-held districts.
Well, here we are, first week of August. It's Guaranteed to get more exciting by November.
Oh, yeah. And here come the political ads. You just
know it.
wait.
Paying
Time
our
will
salary.
tell.
All right.
Yeah, keeping the lights on.
Thank you.
Thank you, Drew.
More results from Virginia's primary election. NBC News projects Republican Doug Ollivant has secured the GOP nomination in Virginia's 7th congressional district.
The victory sets up a high-profile November showdown with incumbent Democratic Congressman Eugene Vindman. The race is expected to be one of the most closely watched House contests in Virginia. News 4's Jessica Albert is live in the newsroom now with a closer look at this matchup. Jessica?
Yeah, guys, this was a very quick election night for us. This race for the Republican nomination for District 7 was called just about 30 minutes after the polls closed. It was a race that featured only 3 candidates. District 7 is a battleground district. It covers Fredericksburg, Culpeper, portions of Prince William County, and Stafford County. Let's take a look at the numbers again. Ollivant won this race, carrying about 55% of the vote, beating his 2 challengers, Philip Harding and Rick Smithers. We were at his victory party in Culpeper tonight. He spent most of his remarks thanking his supporters and explaining why he should win over Eugene Vindman.
He's comfortable up in Woodbridge. He likes being there. That's where his base is. We're going to go there. We're going to push into his base. We're going to show them that he is the wrong representative for the 7th District of Virginia.
Now, before Eugene Vindman won District 7 in 2024, Virginia's governor, Abigail Spanberger, held the seat for 3 consecutive terms. When she was elected in 2018, she was the first Democrat to hold the seat since the 70s. In 2024, Vindman won by just 3 points. All 3 times Abigail Spanberger won, she also won by a small margin. So this is expected to be a tight race in November as Republicans try to regain control of the district. However, NBC News analysts say it may be difficult for Republicans to come out on top because the Commonwealth did go blue for Kamala Harris in the 2024 presidential election, and because Eugene Vindman has raised a significant amount in campaign funding over his opponent. On top of that, Ollivant only has about 2 months to campaign before the midterm in November, guys. So here we go. Back to you.
Here we go indeed. So much to watch, and we will be on top of it. Jessica, thank you.